What's up, guys? Ian here, bringing you the Week 8 transactions video, and I have a little bit to talk about with this. Um, in terms of transactions, I know it's been a while since there was a transactions video, actually, probably since week 4. There were like 4 weeks with no transactions at all, so obviously I didn't get any content for that, but here we are back in week 8. Excuse me. This was the final week to make drops. I don't know why I put week 7 when these are actually all week 8, active week 9. I'll change that right now, actually. 8. So while I'm doing this, yeah, week 8 was the last week to make transactions, active for week 9. So there's 4 weeks left in the schedule, week 9, 10, 11, 12, obviously, and then playoffs coming up. So as we hit the transaction deadline, each team only had 3 free agent transactions they could do, but they could make unlimited trades, and we'll get into a few trades that actually happened um, to do with that as well. So there were 5 weeks without any transactions, which was very strange because last season, in season 2, there was at least one transaction, I believe, every week, with the exception of maybe one. So very strange. A few teams ended up not using any transactions. Adelaide Overheat used 0. The Calgary Flareons used 0. Um, I know myself, I used 0. I believe the LA Latios also used 0. The Philadelphia Pichus used 0. They didn't use any transactions at all throughout the season. And that's it. Everyone else used at least one. So let's get right into things here. Starting with the first drop, which was James in the Crystal Palkia dropping Hitmonchan for Vanillix. This was actually his final transaction of the season. He did end up using his last one, but Hitmonchan came to 0 games this season, so um, just sort of a fun little drop for Jamesy here, picking up the Vanillix, picking up an Ice type. He probably didn't need the Fighting type, so I can definitely agree with that. He doesn't really need the Spinner, just because he doesn't bring removal like ever. Although it's worthy to note that Gliscor has come to more games than I was anticipating it to, and Cortana's brought Defog to more games than I was anticipating it to as well. This team is definitely very reliant on Scarf Nihilego, and so hopefully Scarf Vanillix or a Vanillix of some form can sort of take the pressure off of Nihilego and make Gardevoir from doing stuff. I feel like people have definitely prepped very hard for the physical aspect of Jamesy's team, which is why Kartana, Zeraora, and Darmanitan combined don't have as many kills as actually, sorry, Kartana, Zeraora, Araquanid, Darmanitan, the big physical threats on the team, and Mimikyu combined don't even have as many kills as Nihilego does. And combined, they only have one more kill than Mega Gardevoir does. So this team is very reliant on the offensive core of Mega Gardevoir and Nihilego, and I'm looking to see if someone can stop that. But Vanillux is definitely a fine addition to this team. Hail's not super useful, but it's great to have accurate blizzards. Next up, the West Virginia Voltorb dropped Licky for Noivern, picking up a second dragon on their team. Don't worry, this transaction is specifically for a trade. There was no reason for Noivern on the team whatsoever besides trading it away. Losing Licky, not a big deal. Honestly, Licky didn't come to very many games anyways, and I don't think Ace was very comfortable in using it. There's definitely been some very comfort picks for Ace this season. Um, Mons like Primarine, well, Primarine has come to every single match and is the only Mon in his entire team to come to every single match, so he's definitely very comfortable, at least picking Primarina out to come to a match. And Licky was not one of those Mons that was coming to a lot of games. This used his final free agent transaction, and then he ended up trading here with Magic. He ended up trading the Noivern for the Electros, so Magic gets Noivern, and Ace gets Electros. This was the second of the trades. Sorry, the first of the trades, and then there's a second part to this because Magic's end goal was Silvally, and he traded away Hydreigon. So, despite all this, Ace still ends up with 2 dragons as well as 2 darks, gives away a normal, now also has 2 electrics, but hopefully the team is more engaging and more fun for him. And we'll see in playoff picture why I think that this might be relevant. And that's pretty much all there is to talk about this. Neither team had free agent transactions left after this, so those trades were pretty much all there was, although Magic was willing to give up anything on his team besides Mamoswine. This is what ended up happening. I'm surprised no one actually went for the Eternal Floette, because while I think that it's not the best mon, it's definitely a really strong Fairy Wall Breaker, and a couple teams could use that, Mortal in particular. Hayden and the Pittsburgh Piplups dropped Volcanion for Blacephalon in their first of three. They did drop all. They used all three free agent transactions in a row, and their first of the three was the Volcanion for the Blacephalon. On the surface, this doesn't do much besides give Hayden a little bit more speed. Not that his team is lacking speed necessarily, just sort of gives him a little bit better of a special wall breaker. Sorry, special cleaner rather than a special wall breaker. So now maybe Latios can function more as a wall breaker instead of having to be a cleaner, and Blacephalon is it's a good cleaner. So that's what we're looking at there. Ferrothorn for the Rotom-Wash. Rotom-Wash was previously dropped by the Atlantis Raptors earlier in the season, and now is being picked up again by the Pittsburgh Piplups, losing a rocker and a spiker for gaining another water type back after the Volcanion drop, as well as more defog. So the team is solely relying on like Crocodile and another Mon that we'll talk about in a sec on rocks, and then Mega Beedrill for T-Spikes. But it gained more removal back, so like losing the defog with Volcanion gains it back here. I kind of agree with that. I think rocks are definitely more prevalent against a Blacephalon Mega Beedrill team than a Volcanion Mega Beedrill team, just because Volcanion overall is bulkier, so it can take a lot more hits, but rocks puts Blacephalon in range of so many different moves. So important there, as well as getting a bulkier water, which I think is pretty important. And his final transaction was dropping Tornadus Incarnate for the Metagross, so gaining back rocks, which is very useful for him. Picks up another Psychic type, which isn't necessarily horrible. The team does have all right dark resists. It's got Girder, it's got Crocodile, it's got Florges. Even though it picked up two weaknesses out of this, it's got the dark covered decently, and then the steel typing from the Ferrothorn is recovered by Metagross. And Metagross is kind of cool mon. I've definitely had my eye on picking up Metagross one of these days for myself, and it'll be neat to see how. Whoops, I totally forgot to delete the stats on Hayden's page, and I'll do that after I'm done with this, I guess. Then the Cleveland Cavaliers ended up dropping Komala for Sharpedo. Komala didn't come to a single game, so I'm not surprised. And Sharpedo gives this team much needed offense as well as a speed boost mon, which is really cool because this team is very slow. Blaziken obviously is Blaze only, so he cannot be running speed boost on that. And hopefully we see Sharpedo get some kills this season. Also looking to see if Regis is going to get any action this season as well. Regis hasn't come to a single game either. And is that the last transaction? No, the last one was Calgary Talonflames. Holy crap, I'm really bad at this. Clearly, I screwed up in the weekly recap video, and I screwed up by not putting Shade's logo on here. But I'm very sorry about that, Shade. You dropped Zangoose for Pyroar. Great drop, in my opinion. It was also partially me pushing for this as well. But Pyroar gives Shade a much needed fire type on this team, as well as a better speed tier than the Zangoose. Zangoose was not going to come to any games realistically. It's pretty bad. Pyroar is actually very underrated in my opinion. I definitely think Pyroar could be seen as more of a tier 4 rather than tier 5, so pretty decent value pick there. And it brings a lot of special power to the team, as well as a decent Z user, especially in open Z. Z Sunny Day is a very useful Z move, and normal stab is very helpful, especially special normal stab. So I believe that is the final transaction. Let me just check, and it is. So that is it for transactions for the season. Keep your eyes peeled for playoff picture, which will be the series essentially replacing transactions as we head into the playoffs. And transactions will be back next season for season 4. Bye, guys.